Today in Grammar we're going to review commas. So turn in your student book, page 736, and we're going to read this information and look at these examples together. So a comma is needed after an introductory word in a sentence. One or two commas are needed to set off the name of a person being addressed. A comma separates the day and the year in a date, as well as the city and state in a place name. Commas are used to separate items in a series, a list of nouns or actions. So here we have samples of several of these. We have no comma. That's our introductory word. Wardell, that's our name. That is not a warthog. Okay, it is the baby hippo that was rescued near Malindi, Kenya. We have comma for place and then comma because the rest of the sentence continues. On December 27, comma, there's used in a date, 2004. Okay, here we have an item in a series. We have villagers, comma, fishermen, comma, and visitors performed the rescue. Okay, so these are examples of those ways to use a comma. A comma is used with a conjunction to form a compound sentence. It's also used to introduce quotations. So here it is to join parts of a compound sentence. The tortoise was not very friendly, comma, there's our coordinating conjunction that needs to come before, but he loved being tickled. Okay, here's a direct quote. I would love to see a baby hippo, comma, end quotation, remarked Anne. This is setting off her direct words. So you're going to try this. You're going to pause the video. You're going to work with your learning adult. You're going to read each sentence and tell how each comma is used based on all the ways we just read about at the top of this page. So pause the video, do the try this box, and come back when you're done. Sentences with missing commas can be difficult for readers to understand. You're going to check your writing carefully to make sure you have used commas where they're needed. So here we have some sentences that have missing commas, and then we have it shown with correct comma usage, and you'll see how much easier it is to read. Sheila, Billy, and Ava flew into Mombasa, Kenya on May 22, 2014. Look here, Billy, said Sheila. Billy exclaimed. The tortoise is eating, so the little hippo is eating too. All right, so here we have a list, Shelley, Billy, and Ava, Sheila, sorry. And then we have a city and a country. We have a comma and a date. We have a comma because we have quotation or a direct quotation, plus it's addressing Billy. Okay, and then Billy's going to exclaim something here. And then we have to set apart the word to. So it's kind of like an introductory word, but it comes at the end of the quote. So as you edit your research report next week, make sure that you have used commas correctly. They should be used with introductory words, names, dates, places, direct quotes, compound sentences, and items in a series. That is a lot to remember. Now we're going to review relative pronouns and adverbs. Remember, a relative pronoun stands for a noun and introduces a clause that tells about a noun. A relative adverb introduces a clause that tells about a place, time, or reason. So let's look at the information at the top of this page. A dependent clause has a subject and verb, but it cannot stand alone. A dependent clause is joined to an independent clause that expresses a complete thought. Here we have relative pronouns who, whom, whose, that, and which begin dependent clauses that answer the question which one or what kind. Relative adverbs begin dependent clauses that tell where, when, or why. So a hippopotamus is a fierce fighter that protects its young. This is telling us how. This is with a relative pronoun. This tells us that it protects its young. So that's a dependent clause beginning with a relative pronoun. That protects its young cannot stand alone. Here's a dependent clause beginning with a relative adverb. The mother springs into action when her baby is attacked. That tells when, where, or why. So it's a relative adverb. Your job on this sheet, this is a review, is to underline the dependent clause in each sentence, the one that cannot stand alone, and then circle the relative adverb or pronoun that begins the clause. Okay, again, this is page 322 in your reader's notebook. So let's look at the first couple. Many hippos lost their lives when a tsunami struck the African coast. Okay, many hippos lost their lives. That is the independent part. So when a tsunami struck the African coast is our dependent clause. It cannot be on its own. The word when tells us that it is a relative adverb. So we would need to circle this relative adverb in this sentence because that begins the dependent clause. Okay, let's do the next one. The only hippo who survived was a 600-pound baby named Owen. All right, the only hippo who survived was a 600-pound baby named Owen. Where would you who survived is the dependent clause. Who, again, answers the question which one or what kind. So that is a relative pronoun, and you would circle the word who. Okay, the others are on your own. You can have your learning adult check your work.